All right, look, what we about to watch right now is the clearest example of ego policing, abuse of authority, and how comfortable some people get when they have a badge and they don't think somebody's watching them. The situation at the Carolina versus Texas A&M game is bad. And the deeper you dig into it, the more layers of racism you're going to find, entitlement, and power drunk behavior starting to come out. I'm going to break it down piece by piece because this ain't just about football. This what happened in America when the badge becomes a personality instead of a responsibility.
This video emerged from South Carolina's 31-30 loss at Texas A&M over the weekend, where the officer on your screen, a Texas state trooper, intentionally went in between two South Carolina football players and raised his left arm, which led to a bump.
Cold-blooded.
That trooper is in the spotlight. He would point and yell at Nick Harbor and Oscar Adway III. This was after Harbor caught an 80-yard touchdown pass but walked up the tunnel because his right leg appeared to be injured. You can see the reaction from the players with their palms up, basically asking, hey man, what gives? The officer would continue berating the D1 football players, and there were many reactions to this.
What happened at the Texas A&M South Carolina football game is unacceptable for an officer who is there to protect everyone in the stadium to walk toward those young players with that level of aggression, that level of intention, that level of purpose, and that purpose being nothing for good is something that just can't happen. In this situation, someone who is in that stadium to protect them is the aggressor. And here's my biggest problem with the whole thing. There was 100,000 people in the stands. There were two entire football teams on the field, and there were millions of people watching on TV. So what kind of decisions does this officer make when no one is watching?
Bam! That's the $1 million question.
When there are no immediate consequences. And thank God that Texas A&M acted extremely quickly to at least try to rectify the situation so everyone on that football field and in those stands could feel safe. But this is a cautionary tale. This is a warning. There are those people that feel so entitled and so empowered and have that level of audacity and also intoxication on power that they believe that they're above the law. It's not just about protecting those young men on the field, which is something we have to do. It's about protecting those young people in these streets, in these schools, that just walk around in everyday life from those who don't understand the power of the badge and the responsibility of it.
Ryan Clark, host of the Pivot podcast, a former NFL player, Super Bowl champion, and football analyst on ESPN, spoke on it.
My first thought in seeing this, and I even posted it, this was my first thought, was that if he will do this in front of a crowded filled stadium where he knows the cameras are on him, he knows that this player just got a touchdown. He knows everybody is watching, and he has no issues behaving the way that he behaved for the entire world to see. So if he's willing to do that with no hesitation, what is he doing when he stops black people on the side of the road as a highway patrolman?
We know what he doing. It's his word against yours. And bro, we live in America. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 1,000. No judge ever believes a black man over a cop. That's just not how it goes. The cop is going to swear on his testimony, right hand on the Bible, and say, this is the truth. And guess what? That good old boy judge is going to side with the cop. If that black person, woman or man, don't have a fire, criminal, attorney, or whatever you want to call them, if that person is less than a Johnny Cochran, dog, you're going to jail, period. Because it's always their word against yours. They get the benefit of the doubt. My life was in danger. I saw him reach. Even if you say something that they just don't like, that's grounds for them to snatch you up out your car, brutalize you, embarrass you in front of your wife and kids, and you just got to take that on the chin because it's his word against yours.
How does he act in his everyday interactions with black people in particular? If you're willing to scold an athlete who literally just scored a touchdown in front of everybody, how are you acting in your everyday practice as a policeman? And that is the bigger issue to me when you say, yes, you want everybody to kind of limit their expectations that he's probably not going to get fired. Being sent home for the day is nothing. That that was nothing. That's not. Yeah, that's a little a light tap on the wrist, not even a smack. That's a light tap. You know what I mean? What he should have been, in my opinion, was fired on the spot. There should have been
definitely
an address by the head of the Texas police or the Texas state troopers that said this is not.
But you know that's not how it works with the police, man. They police one another and they don't do a damn good job at it. Yeah, we're gonna do an investigation. Yeah, the damn Klan investigating the Klan. That's crazy, bro. You know ain't nothing gonna come of that unless the public put pressure on them.
Not what we're about. This is not what we stand for. This is not our, what we teach. This is not what is acceptable for us. That's what it should have been immediately. But we didn't see that.
Former NBA player turned activist Ethan Thomas weighed in as well.
Would you ever behave like that when you're an officer?
I mean, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, it's called policing with your ego.
Ooh.
I mean, is it right? No. And I think that
guys, this make me think of something right now, right? I saw a video of a Louisiana police instructor. He was a state trooper or whatever, and he said it was a policy, a culture to where if a black guy came into the force, they had to act white, basically.
If you were black and you were a state trooper, it was acceptable, but the rule was you had to act white. That was the standard, act white. So,
and what does it mean to act white? Does that mean to over-police black people, to discriminate against black people, to hide your culture, to just act differently in general? Come on now.
we had, I'll name him, Trooper Gary Smith, one of the best troopers you'll ever meet, squared away guy. Love to have him back me up. Theo Chantlin, same thing. But they fit the act white profile according to the white troop and the white chain of command. And then you switch to Trooper Chris Hill. And I'm sorry, Chris, if you're listening, I'm throwing you under the bus. But Chris Hill came out of the academy, but he didn't dress. He was raised in New Orleans, and he dressed in a way that was consistent with his style. Baggy black shirt, gold chain, and basically regular size fitting pants. You know, and I know, I tell you, people here hate when your pants are around your ass and you're showing your underwear.
But he didn't do any of that stuff. And one thing about people from New Orleans, black people from New Orleans, man, we like being black. Straight up. It's going to be a tough sell to make one of us start to act like something that we're not. It's like, if you know people from New Orleans, they will literally tell you, and this is crazy, I ain't from Louisiana, I'm from New Orleans. Straight up, I'm like, okay, but we ain't doing it. All that tap dancing.
He wasn't that, you know. But he didn't dress in skin tight Wranglers like the lieutenant who was criticizing him for it. And because they saw him off duty dressed like that at a state police area, and I looked at the guy, and like I said, he's a sharp-looking guy, squared away, great trooper, joined the SWAT team. I trained him on this to be a SWAT operator and trusted this man to go into a house with me, and I got to go left. And if there's a guy shooting at me from the right, I want to shoot him, but I can't. I got to clear this corner. But I know Chris Hill's behind me, and he's going to button hook, and he's going to take out that threat that's shooting me in the back. But I got to check here before I can swing around. And I trusted that man with my life. And they had a meeting because of the way he was dressed. And the sergeant came out of the captain's office, and he said, hey, got word from the captain. Run that N-word off, because he failed to act well. He didn't dress well.
I wonder what he said in that moment when he was told to run that N-word off. How did he respond to that? Was he upset? Was he mad? Or did he comply? I think he probably complied and is only talking like this because he don't work there no more. I don't know if he worked there or not, but I'm just saying. Look at the comments though. Meanwhile, Tim Scott running around talking about America isn't racist. This is all America, not just cops. It's still there. Oh, Chris is my partner. He is still there in Lake Charles. Same troop. They call it failure to adapt, assimilation, if you will. Unfortunately, this kind of stuff goes on in every institution in America. I wish more white men would do the right thing and bring this behind the scenes racism to the forefront. If Chris Hill were the one telling the story, he'd be dismissed as a professional victim. As a black man, I'm 100% sure that being black has and will cost me a lot of opportunities in white spaces. The way I dress, the way I talk, my sense of humor, and no, it's not unprofessionalism, it's racism. Plain and simple, goddammit. I be working myself up. I gotta chill, for real.
It's fine time that law enforcement, in an effort to be transparent, starts letting the public know how it is that they are disciplining their officers when they engage in such public displays of inappropriate and aggressive conduct.
So I think he should be fired. And people are not saying, they're just saying it's an ego. That was a cop hopped up on power, and it was racist, period. You don't need a panel discussion to see it. You don't need a PhD or a think tank. You can watch that tape, and the truth just jumps right out you as to what it is. That was a man in uniform. He wanted to remind this group of young black men right in the middle of their moment that he was the authority in the building, and he wanted.
Let's call a speed, man. And then if we're gonna be anything, we're gonna be for real on this channel. If there were two white boys in that stadium, in that hall, he doesn't do that. He knows good and goddamn well he doesn't do that if it was two white football players.
In the stadium, he wanted dominance, and he wanted the last word. He wanted them to feel small.
As did Don Lemon and Michael Fanone.
I've heard a number of people talk about how he needs to be fired. That's a good start. But that uncivilized mutt need charges brought against him, because that was a clear assault. That was assault. And that uncivilized mutt should be charged. Had it been the other way around, and the player was frustrated that his team was losing, and he saw the home team cop walked in his direction and shoved him, we already know assault charges would be filed right now. They'd be all over the internet and up in arms. Fox News would be having a ball with this.
Ditto with Willie D. Live. Thomas would write for The Guardian. Why didn't the DPS call an immediate press conference and condemn the trooper's actions? Why didn't they say his behavior was appalling, disgusting, and unacceptable? And not what they teach their state troopers to do.
Because this is how they do things. This is how they get along. This is what it's been. This is what it's always been, and it's probably going to always be that way. It's really that simple. Let's not overcomplicate it. But the interesting thing is this. I've never seen so many white people say, damn, that trooper was in the wrong. And then you got somebody like Officer Tatum trying to defend the shit. I think he took that video down because he was wrong, and everybody in the comment section was wrong. And I was reading those comments, everybody telling him, nah, brother, you got it wrong on this one. And he still tried to, man, I know he had to wreck his brain in order to come up with the bullshit he said. Man, you got to put context on it now. You got to understand the history of Texas A&M. You don't come to our stadium and do this shit. Man, if you don't sit your ass down somewhere.
Work the game again.
Well, of course, Brandon softened him up. Tel Aviv Tatum found a way to justify and excuse the actions of the cop who intentionally bumped into a couple football players at the South Carolina Texas A&M football game, because he understands the context and you and I don't. This is a nothing burger.
And it's a nothing burger. It's football. I don't think that guy should get in trouble. If I was the police chief, I'd be like, I get it, bro. You did it in public. There's backlash. I'll write you up, which is a warning. It don't even go on your personal profile. You know, I acknowledge that I shouldn't have let my temper get the better, and I wrote it up like that. Look, don't do that again, bro. You embarrassing everybody. You can't do that. I know you know, we know how it go, but we live in a different age, all right? You got it? You got it? Okay, we done. You roll the clip. That's all that was.
That's all it was. He didn't do anything wrong. Justify the actions of the state trooper.
He's saying he got to go in there and tell them to get out the tunnel. Let's play it back, because people need to pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah, people need to pay attention to the fact that Brandon Tatum is such a leather muncher. Matter of fact, the thin blue line of tyranny flag is so far up his intestinal tract that he's the grand master at displaying his profound incapacity to determine what is good and what is bad. And you got to think about it. If the cops at Uvalde could do no wrong in the eyes of Officer Brandon Tatum, of course he's going to see this as a nothing burger. But what do you expect? He's a former police officer, and once in the police officer mindset, always in the police officer tyrannical mindset.
In another paragraph, he wrote, before they try to no Angel Harbor, it's important to note that he won the 2023 Franklin D. Watkins Memorial Award, a prize which honors African-American high schoolers who excel in athletics, academics, and charity work. Aside from his football career, Harbor has won national titles in track, volunteered at a soup kitchen, and worked with Generosity Global, which campaigns to improve women's health in Africa. Harbor is majoring in public health and has been on the SEC academic honor roll 2 years in succession.
So in other words, a model citizen, the type of guy that any sane man or woman wants to call their child. You can brag about a little boy like this. Yeah, he's smart, he's athletic, well-mannered, charitable, hospitable, nice, morals, ethical, an all-around great person. Then old piece of shit, scumbag, state trooper can do something to him, and now that man's life is on the line. And I'm speaking of if nobody was watching this go down. If there wasn't hundreds of thousands of people watching. He bumped me. I didn't bump him. Take all of these accolades, throw them out the window because this officer want to be petty.
My thoughts are with the consensus on this. And let me just also add, there seems to be this talking point of, well, if he's doing this with the cameras on him, what's he doing with the cameras off? Yeah, I agree. But let's not assume that he knew that the cameras were on him. I actually think that's unfair.
That's a bar.
If he knew that the cameras were on him, he wouldn't have done this. If there was some monitor that he looked up at as he was going to the tunnel, he would have stepped aside.
I agree with you on that.
And I'm not giving him any excuse. There is still potential that he would, but like knowing that an ESPN camera that is being fed to millions of people and will be replayed millions upon millions of times, I actually think that he would have stepped aside to cover up his own indiscretions or what he wanted to do.
Hold up, brother. What you got going on in the background? I'm like, in your background, you one of them cool. All right, I see you, my boy. Got an Angela Davis book in the background. Look like a Michael Jordan thing right now. You understand? I see some artwork with some black people and some blackity black people, goddammit. An Afro pick. I'm intrigued.
But the fact that he decided to wedge himself between two players, raise his arm, give a nudge, there is a window there.
Right.
For him to just go through because they stepped aside. There was room, and he didn't. Shows you everything about that man.
Facts.
Michael Fanone basically saying that it is ego policing. Completely agree. Because every single police officer is egotistical to the gills. This is who they are. This is what they represent. This is what they're all about. What they love to do is take advantage of black people in this country. We have quite literally decades of this. Police started out as slave patrols. It's in this dude's blood to think that way. And the fact that he hasn't been relieved and he just got sent home, an abomination, but it's Texas.
Because this is the culture. That's what it is. Man, we're not going to fire you over some shit that we agree with. The hell? We do this. Who are those black people? Who are those brown people? If it ain't white, it ain't right.
And it's also policing. So why are we surprised? We should be calling for more oversight. We should be calling for, once again, as I have said a million times on these videos about police brutality and misconduct, if something like this happens and there's a lawsuit, pay should be docked from him over time and from the police budget. And we should stop giving endless checks so people like this can go on ego trip after ego trip. And if he does get punished, it's coming from the taxpayers and not from him.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member.
Type shit, man. Go support that man with all them 1.33 million subscribers he already got. I'm trying to build this bitch off the ground. You understand what I'm saying? I'm thinking about, let me know how y'all feel about this, members only videos. For instance, I usually do reaction videos. The members only videos will be more like, I'm going to say like this. Let me just show you. Rich by design. Okay, cool. A typical members only video would be like this one right here. This is why they call black hair unprofessional. Then I would probably do, they lied about the IQ. That would be a members only video. White hate is on the rise. That would be a members only video. The rest would just be reaction videos. You know, when I do these videos and I put them together myself, I curate the clips, I do all of the scripting and all of that stuff. That'll be in the members only. You get what I'm saying? Let me know how y'all feel about that. Anyway, I'm out. Y'all have a good one. Subscribe to the channel if y'all like what I was putting down.